achievements. You have taken on the challenge of learning a new language and adapting to a new culture. We thank you for choosing to study at the Language and Culture Center. It has been a privilege to teach you and to interact with you. At this time, I would like to introduce the Chair of the Department of English, Dr. James Castelli, who will welcome you on behalf of the department and the college.
Thank you, Jody. It is my honor and my genuine pleasure to welcome all of you to this year's Fall 2018 graduate ceremony of the University of Houston's Department of English, Language and Culture Center. I welcome students, family members, LCC staff and teachers, UH administrators and faculty, and members of the Houston community. Welcome all. It is always a pleasure to be part of this graduation, and I can say that since I went to another one earlier today that was interminable. I really like this one. And that's really true. Today's graduation is a joyous event, one that celebrates the achievements of a remarkable collection of students and teachers. In a world in which so many often seem determined to not understand peoples and cultures other than their own, the students, teachers, and staff of the LCC are the important counterweight. Your efforts to teach and to understand both the English language and American culture exemplify what is possible when human beings come together in a determined effort to expand human meaning and human possibility. And the graduating students of the LCC are not the only ones who have undergone an education. We thank you for expanding our world and educating us about languages and cultures beyond our own borders. Indeed, you demonstrate what can be achieved by those who are willing to undertake risks and to depart from what is known and comfortable. Today we celebrate your achievement, and we thank you for allowing us to be part of your lives and your intellectual development. It is with great pride in your achievements, the achievements of both the students and the teachers, that I welcome all to this year's graduation ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Castelli. Our student speaker this afternoon represents the phenomenal graduating class of Fall 2018. Pinky Janez is from Chile. She began her English studies in the Language and Culture Center this semester. She holds a bachelor's degree in advertising from the University of Arts, Sciences, and Communication in Santiago, Chile. She has applied for graduate admission at the University of Houston in Public Relations Management with the ultimate goal of working in the service industry. We are fortunate that, after traveling the world, Ms. Yanez ultimately came to the LCC to study with us. She is an excellent example of the kind of student we are privileged to have in our program. I am pleased to present our student graduation speaker this afternoon, Pinky Janez.
Thank you, everyone. I wasn't prepared. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dr. Nels, dear teachers, students of the Language and Culture Center, and honored guests. I am highly honored to be able to speak on behalf of my classmates from Level 6. Although I have only been here a short time, I have absorbed all the advice, kindness, and support that you have given me to go on with this new adventure that I have embarked on in my life. Congratulations to all of you for finishing one step of thousands in all the challenges that will come in our lives. When I arrived here at the LCC, it had been 20 years since I had left the university classroom to become a professional, an entrepreneur, and a company employee. Now, here we are, ready to start a new chapter in our lives. I'm sure we all share the same feeling of excitement about the new things we will learn and the new people that we will meet. For me, the difficult part was not doing all the homework that we had. On the contrary, it was the important but often tricky grammar. I thank our teachers a lot of their patience, but also thank the famous grammar Blue Book. Probably you all had the same challenges. We should all be aware that in life everything is about learning, and every person that we meet might become our teacher in some way. I have heard from almost all of you many different stories on why you have come here. However, at the end, we all want to achieve the same goal, to become outstanding professionals and better people. I hope that all of us will achieve beautiful accomplishments, find new opportunities, or study new majors, make new friends, and find life companions. I know that some of us may feel at times that things are so difficult and feel almost at the point of giving up. But let me tell you something. Life is not easy sometimes, but there's nothing impossible to resolve when you do your best and put your heart and best effort into each challenge. We are a center that unites a wide number of cultures. Let us learn more about the others and help each other along in our path in life, with the intention of learning from their experience. It should be just like the game we played during the International Education Week, where we asked personal questions of both people we knew and people we did not know. In that game, the purpose was to communicate in English. There were no barriers and no mistakes. Sometimes our hand signals worked, and sometimes they didn't. But in the end, we learned a lot more about each other than we did through homework and essays. Or the cultural festival, where we delighted our palates with amazing types of food and enjoyed dancing to music from around the world, establishing new choreographies. Thanks to the organizers for all the events and trips that you arranged for us. I would like to thank my family, who unfortunately could not be here today, for all the amazing weekend I spent with them and for giving me the energy to continue every week, to study and help me face the demands at the beginning of this journey. Finally, I would like to finish with a quote from the book, The Alchemist of Paulo Coelho. When you really want something from the bottom of your heart, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. Carpe diem, seize the day, everyone.
Thank you, Pinky. Thank you for representing your fellow classmates in Level 6 and the entire LCC so masterfully. We are delighted to bring to you a musical performance by our very own Amanda Yang from China. Amanda began playing the piano when she was 7 years old. She was a remarkably committed and dedicated language learner this semester, and you are about to hear how dedicated and committed she has been on the piano as she performs a piece composed by Chopin. Her previous work has focused on language learning, language policy, and nationalism in Indonesia. And her current research project focuses on internet-based political organization. She is a colleague extraordinaire. And now I'm pleased to present Dr. Lauren Setz.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to the LCC for having me, and congratulations to all of you on this impressive accomplishment. In the field of language socialization, we believe that learning a new language means gaining membership in a new culture. We believe that this happens whenever we learn a new way of speaking, whether that is learning how to be a doctor or a professor, learning how to speak for the first time as an infant, learning to speak as a teenager or an adult, learning to speak as a parent, as I have been doing for the past 10 months, and also learning another language like English or Spanish or French or Indonesian, and on and on. What each of these types of language learning have in common is that they entail membership in a new speech community, a group of people who share common norms of communication and behavior. And thus, to speak fluently as a professor, or as an English speaker, or a mother, is to first be welcomed into that speech community, to be mentored as a novice in that speech community, and then to come to express membership in the community. We also believe that language socialization is a lifelong process. Learning language and learning community membership is a process that continues throughout one's life. We never stop learning how to speak, and we never stop needing to be welcomed as a member of a group that we are new to. As I have traveled through life, I have learned and been helped to speak as a member of many different communities. I was cultivated as a member of the soccer community, or football as some of you might have it, from a very young age through the end of high school and beyond. And each time I joined a new team, I had to be welcomed into that specific soccer community and to learn to speak as a member of that specific team. I also studied French and Spanish in middle and high school, and my teachers welcomed me as a novice and shepherded me through the classroom-based foreign language learning process until I became a fluent speaker of, let's say, classroom French and Spanish. I additionally had a mother who was a former French and Spanish teacher who had strongly encouraged me to feel welcome in language learning spaces. And additionally, my family takes great pride in the French part of our heritage, and so these latter factors contributed to my ease of belonging in these communities of practice. After I left home for college, I was welcomed into the speech community of college students. This broader language community entails many different ways of speaking and socializing, and thanks to dorm life, I was able to hit the ground running with a core community of peers, and we were able to scaffold each other or to lift each other up based on our shared collective experiences as we found our way into this new college community. It always helped to make friends with people who had been there longer than us, and to speak to professors who genuinely wanted to help us, so that we could find our ways to, let's say, becoming fluent in the language of good student, which, if you don't already know, is half the battle to succeeding at any level of education. Also in college, I returned to the study of French, and I took my first study abroad trip at the age of 20 to Avignon in the southeast of France. My world exploded in the best way possible, and my mom will recall later in a conversation about that first experience abroad that when she heard my constant excitement on my calls back home from Avignon, she told herself, "Katie, bar the door," which is apparently a common phrase of people from her generation, meaning, "Oh Lord, this girl might never come back home." I loved living in the French world so much, and I was so warmly welcomed there as well, that I added a French major to my health science major. Later, I would add a linguistics major and a teaching English as a second language minor to my list of degrees. It definitely took me more than 4 years to graduate. And so by the time I was done with college, I was a novice member of the Health Sciences speech community, the French Studies speech community, and the Linguistics and Language Teaching speech communities. I could hold decent conversations about ethics in healthcare, about classical French literature, about language use in speech communities, and how to teach a language. But I could not have arrived at this without Jomar Ta'ala, my TESOL teacher, who so warmly mentored me and invited me to work with graduate student English language learners. And not without Gail Zachman and Ruth Baker, who encouraged me to pursue French as a major and into graduate studies. Not without Elige van Land, the head of my language institute in France, who opened up a whole new world to me and encouraged me to pursue the studies and cultural exchanges that I was becoming so passionate about. And not without my health sciences professors, who also encouraged me to pursue my master's in physical therapy despite my final decision to leave and study language. After I graduated, I spent a year in France teaching English to elementary school students. I lived in a high school dormitory with 3 other language teachers from the US, England, and Spain, and we welcomed each other as strangers in a foreign land. We ate dinner together nightly. We discussed our experiences of teaching and trying to fit in, and we were also helped along by the local teachers we worked alongside. They welcomed us into their homes for lunches and dinners. They took us on weekend road trips to visit French chateaux and national parks, and our experiences would not nearly have been as enriching, and our French language not nearly as fluent by the end of our time there, were it not for these colleagues who so warmly welcomed us in. I next moved to Ottawa, Canada to pursue my master's in sociolinguistics, studying French and English contact in the capital region, speaking French and English in regular alternation every day, studying French texts and writing about them in English, and becoming an ever more conversant member of the speech community of sociolinguists. I became a part of a community of professors and peers in the linguistics department and became friends with peers who were from the area. I hosted a Thanksgiving dinner with Canadian, American, Australian, and Japanese friends, and I worked on a final test in an apartment with Japanese, Russian, Iranian, and Bulgarian friends. We all welcomed each other with food, with knowledge, with shared needs for help, and shared hunger for learning. I took a year off after my master's degree, and I worked in a gourmet restaurant, and my goodness, was this a chance to go back to being a real novice in something. And I truly would have only lasted 5 days were it not for the Puerto Rican sous chef of the restaurant and the Mexican prep cooks in the kitchen and all the other cooks and servers, many of us knowing that we were all learning as we went along. And then I went back to being a student, pursuing my PhD in language, reading, and culture, and I will tell you that there are a few more intense ways of being pushed into a speech community than in one's first 2 years of doctoral studies. If one is not mentored by professors and by peers who have been there 1 or 2 years longer than herself, one might very well float away on the sea of books that she has been assigned to read. After my first year of doctoral studies, I joined a study abroad program to learn Indonesian in Central Java, Indonesia, and I will tell you this was not similar to learning French in France. First of all, I will say that I most certainly have no Indonesian heritage, though maybe if I take a 23andMe test, I might learn otherwise. One never knows these days. Second of all, Indonesia is quite unlike France, Canada, and the US in many, many ways. I arrived to a most welcoming, well-off, highly educated host family, but the streets were covered in litter, poverty was all around me, there was a constant and loud drone of motorcycles zipping by, and people stared, oh, they stared, at me, and called after me in the streets over and over and over. I wondered how on earth I could ever become a member of such a foreign speech community, and I actually still wonder this despite the great lengths of time I have spent in Indonesia at this point and the ever-welcoming gestures of kindness and hospitality that people have shown to me. Another trip alone to Cuba to stay with my in-laws brought me the same welcoming hospitality, despite the great lack of resources most people have there for hosting guests, never mind meeting the daily needs of their own lives. Through all of these experiences, if I haven't made it clear enough by now, I will say that one of the greatest things that I have learned is the importance of welcoming the stranger, as I have been welcomed by so many. As I'm sure you have all experienced, you're different here in some or many ways. You have removed yourselves from your home communities, where you hopefully live comfortably in the sense that you don't really have to think about how to fit in. And you have bravely come to a place where you are a novice in the speech community. And I truly hope that you have all had the chance to experience multiple people welcoming you in, helping you find a pathway toward fluency in the ever-expanding community of English speakers throughout the world. But hopefully in this case, you will also leave feeling welcomed as a member of Houston's incredibly diverse speech communities. And with that, may you continue on your successful journeys through life and studies, and may you always remember that there are many strangers who need welcoming. And it very well could be you who provides some novice welcome to a community that you are fluent in, providing them with the unforgettable memory that it is because of you that they are now a fluent speaker and full-fledged member within that community. I wish you all the best of your luck on your adventures beyond the LCC.
To their graduating students. From Benin, Kamik Agungpao. From Iran, Benya Ahmadullah. From Saudi Arabia, Hamid Bakanwa. From China, Xiao Jungfu. From China, Yixing Guo. From Vietnam, Nguyen Phu. From Brazil, Paloma Wong. From Cameroon, Ornella Pune Boka. From Taiwan, Sun Han Tan. From China, Yu Wang. We've been practicing. From China, Yuhan Xiong. From Chile, Pinky Llanes. From China, Chungwei Yang. And now I present to you the Language and Culture Center Fall 2018 graduating class. The Language and Culture Center awards scholarships for study in our intensive English program. These scholarships are awarded to continuing students who have demonstrated outstanding academic achievement, leadership, and cross-cultural understanding. At this time, I would like to recognize the students who studied with us this past fall as recipients of the LCC scholarships. When I call your name, please stand. Bekmia Amat Dirag. And Yu Wang. We received many excellent applications for our spring 2019 scholarships. After careful consideration and much deliberation, our final decisions were made. The first scholarship to be awarded today is the Joy Tesh Scholarship. This scholarship honors our immediate past director, who left an indelible impression on the field of international education. Her unwavering dedication to the Language and Culture Center has had a positive impact on the lives of all of us here today. At this time, I am pleased to announce the recipient of the Joy Tesh Scholarship for Study in Spring 2019. In Section 3B, from Honduras, Amanda Escoto.
Thank you so much.
The next scholarship to be awarded is the Brad Powell Scholarship. This scholarship celebrates the life and honors the memory of Brad Powell. Brad served the LCC as Program Director of Counseling and Student Services. And this scholarship honors his love for international education and his dedication to the LCC. I am pleased to announce the recipient of the Brad Powell Scholarship for Study in Spring 2019 in Section 5A from China, Peru, Luo. She got lost. You can see that. As we come to the end of our ceremony this afternoon, I wish to acknowledge our outstanding instructors and staff. Instructors, leadership, support staff, and program assistants of the Language and Culture Center, would you please stand? You might not be able to see Adam. Whose birthday is today? Well deserved. With the closing of the ceremony, the Language and Culture Center has successfully completed another semester. We would now like to invite you to join us upstairs in the atrium for our graduation reception. LCC teachers will be in the reception area with certificates for all students. We ask that the students and guests remain seated while LCC instructors leave first. Thank you for being here today. Let's let the celebration begin. Thank you.